This is the Weigh-In Podcast. I apologize for my dog already. I'm already apologizing for him. If he gets if I win an award for this podcast for one day, right? I hope he gets an award like Beyonce's kid did for just talking in the front of the album. But that's what he's doing. I don't even know what the hell he's barking at. It's just me and him here. But this is the Weigh-In Podcast, boxing, MMA. Let's get to it. We're about to hop on Twitter to see what's going on. So wait up. Let me close out a few things real quick. And we are there. Let's go. Okay. Home. Here we go. Okay, so let's see what's happening. A lot of news going on in boxing right here. You got Jermell Charlo has announced that he has added Mark Breland to his training team, which will work alongside his head coach, Ronnie Shields. Breland was sacked by Deontay Wilder last year after throwing the towel during the Tyson Fury defeat. I never, when Breland did this, I never thought we would get to this point where, I don't think anyone knew that Deontay Wilder was going to have, all these reasons that he lost, all the blame, blaming him for drugging Wilder and stuff like that. Which is weird, but there's, I'm sure if I can find any, if you have any opinion, as wild as can be, you could probably find it on, Twitter. You're going to find people. That's what, the internet is. You could find Reddit and all that. You could find people that believe what you believe or believe in some certain thing, even how ridiculous it is. And there's a lot of people, that believe that Deontay Wilder was robbed in these fights and, he was, the gloves were loaded, or there weren't any gloves, cushion in the gloves, or there wasn't. It's just a lot of things, and a lot of people think that Breland might have got paid, right, and drugged Deontay Wilder. Which, if you're gonna go to court over a boxing date, right, because for a rematch clause, and you're willing to do that, you would think that you'd be willing to file charges against them and investigate that. You would think, right, but I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't believe any of that. But I'm saying, you would think that if that were the case, they would really go after that. I'm glad to see Breland get another chance. So I think he did the good thing I think he did the right thing that night. Definitely would have the best interest for Wilder that night. And it's unfortunate how that went down. Let's see. Let's keep going. Let's see here. I think with Eddie Hearn matchroom, they signed a big deal with DAZN today, because all the fights in England are usually on Sky Sports. This is what his deal was with. And I know people want to speak down on DAZN and everything, but they seem to keep investing money. You know what I mean? If the deal wasn't good, you think that they would just say no. They must have a plan, right? And I just think that a lot of people want to, for some reason, not to work for some reason. I don't know why. It's good for fight fans. It's the most affordable option, I believe, for fight wise. So I don't get it, but yeah, I don't know. Let's see here. A lot of boxing professionals will be hurt if/when Jermell Charlo becomes undisputed. We're going to hear so much about the eye test, how Rosario wasn't a real threat despite them having him up on the cards, and 154 suddenly is no longer a good division. Just wait. That does happen a lot. I kind of don't like that. And Jermell Charlo is to me, is up there for sure in the pound for pound, but has he cleared it out. He cleared out the weight class. He didn't avoid no one. He fought everyone there is in that weight class. And Castano would be basically the last piece to it. I know Jared Hurd was there, but Hurd hasn't won a long time. He's probably, I don't think Hurd is what he once was, right? But Jermell Charlo is one of the guys you just cannot really knock in boxing. He does everything that we want a fighter to do. He really does. So, of course, that's going to happen just because everyone hates on everyone. People are hating on Lomachenko as soon as he lost. They were just he's actually trash, right? Lomachenko. And then people think Bud Crawford's trash now. And I know Bud Crawford's resume is not that great, and that has more to do with promotional things, happened with promotional wise. But Jermell Charlo is just not one of the guys you can hate. And I don't understand. If he's undisputed for a reason. It's even if say you're in a division at a week time, there's still going to be tough guys that come up. There's going to be guys that go up and weigh in. All these things. And he's fought tough guys. The guys he's fought are legit. They're legit good fighters. Now, are they Hall of Famers or anything like that? Well, when it comes to Rosario, we don't know. He's young. Maybe, probably not, right? But a lot of it has to do sometimes with just because you're in the era with Jermell Charlo. And after he wins this, right, he probably will go to 160, or there probably will be some more. He probably will take some chances at that point, because undisputed is really nothing to prove anymore at that weight. But you can't doubt him anymore. Jermell Charlo is one of the best fighters in boxing, and he's for sure top 5, pound for pound. Let's see here. Let's see. A lot of people have an opinion on that thing. How about they asked Ruiz like his top 5 heavyweights. And I think he had Fury number 1, Joshua, then himself, then Wilder, then Areola. Like, that's pretty funny. Like, he had to know that's funny to say Areola just because he's fighting him, right? I like that fight. That's one of those things where, like, is a fun fight worth the pay-per-view? Like, if you could make a really fun fight. I don't remember where any of the. I think Gotti Ward, like the third one, was pay-per-view. I could be wrong on that, but I think like it just depends, right? Like, how do you look at it? That's a fun fight. Like, I need to see it. I'm gonna pay for it. I pay for everything, but I need to pay for that one. Like, that's a fun fight. I don't really see the negative in that. Like, it's just a fun fight. It's a fun card. I would think I would run into a lot more here, and I feel like I'm not running into everything. See, De La Hoya apologized for Triller's pay-per-view comment. He says he's back in beast mode. I know people want to see it as like, everyone was doing everything. It was a bad look for De La Hoya. I was talking to my brother about this, and he was like, well, people do dumb stuff all the time. It just, for all the track history De La Hoya has, it just was not a good look. And like, it makes me, where you could have stock in a person, I'm selling my stock in De La Hoya. If I should have already, right? Golden Boy has put on some decent cards. They have decent fighters, right? But if you're looking at that and be like, this is the guy in charge. This is the decision making in charge. It makes you really question it. Oh, my dog right here. See, he's gonna make an appearance. I'm telling you, he should deserves. If this is a podcast wins an award, I hope he gets one. See, on cue. He knows he's being talked about. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. Why I'm Ruiz facing a typical joke from the fake Mexican. Ruiz is the fake Mexican? I guess. Okay. White's just trying to get a big fight. And he's kind of in a tough spot right now with Matchroom because he's not going to get AJ and he's not going to get Fury. They're fighting each other. And it's like, who's he going to get? And then you have Usyk is probably going to fight. Usyk is probably going to fight. I don't know. I can't think of his name right now too. And I really like this guy. Joe Joyce. So White's like in a tough spot right now because he lost that fight. It really set him back because he would have been like at least in a demanding, you know what I mean? Like demanding something to happen. Now it's like White lost a lot of shine when he lost Povetkin. Really, a lot of people probably didn't believe in him anyways, but he lost a lot of shine in that fight. And now he got the win back, but it's like he doesn't really have any, pull. And he's with Matchroom, and I don't know. They have heavyweights coming up, but he's kind of like in a weird spot. So I could see him trying to get a little, try to get a little tension going after Ruiz. Let's see here. Ahead of his rematch with Jorge Masvidal, UFC 261, Usman says he didn't get his fix in the first fight. I want to win definitively in a way that I walk away and say, you know what, I'm satisfied. Just like the way I see this fight, and I'm going to have this on the Mouthpiece podcast on Spotify, the breakdown of this, right? But I know that Masvidal had this fight like on late notice. I know that. So he wasn't at his 100% sharpest. Couldn't be, right? But he was in position that he needed to be in. Like it wasn't like he went straight to the ground right away. Like he was standing, right? Like he had the opportunities, and he never really got off anything that was super effective in the fight. He just did it. And I think Usman's better than the last fight. So I just had to look at that. Like when I first after I was like, well, I think Masvidal's gonna do a lot better. I thought he was gonna win. Like at the rematch, I was like with a full training camp. And then I think about it, I'm like, well, he was in the positions though. It wasn't like he wasn't in shape to get to those positions. He was in those positions. Now, would he be in better shape going late? Maybe, most likely, right, with a full camp. But he was already in those positions. And Masvidal is a guy that's explosive early, and it wasn't like he was in complete like horrible shape or anything like that. It wasn't like that. So I just think that Usman got better, and he was already in position, a stand-up, like he wasn't straight to the ground. And through Masvidal's career, he's always been able to really been put up against the fence. Even Maya did that to him. You know what I mean? And he's not really explosive, and he doesn't have the best takedowns. So I don't know. I don't really see this fight going different. I think Usman could do better in this fight. He's just getting better, and he's more disciplined ever. The striking. Jermell Charlo's path to undisputed is similar to Bud Crawford. Is better than Colin Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, and Caleb Plant undisputed run. It's better than, so that's Canelo's run. than Crawford. I think Charlo's is better than Crawford's run to undisputed. I would say so. I think the opponents have been better. Um, yeah, it is better than probably Canelo's too. Honestly, at 168, yeah, I would say it is too. I mean, depending on what you think of Caleb Plant, right? Caleb Plant is a very talented fighter. I don't know if he has like the big win yet. I don't think he has that big win yet, but I think Caleb Plant is probably better than any opponent that Charlo has faced, but Charlo's overall like opponents have been better than those three. I would agree with that. But remember, Canelo did move up in weight to 168 and to clean that weight out. So he wasn't, he's not necessarily natural at that weight. Let's see here. Oh yeah, taking the belt from you is better for me at Jermell Herring. Jermell Herring said, puts that like, you touching my money, protecting his money. I'm so curious how that plays out. Like, is he really just going to give him the belt? Like, why would he do that? And if he doesn't get the Valdez fight, he doesn't fight Shakur. I feel like, that's his payday option. Like, if he gets Valdez, I understand that. Like, and you're like, yeah, you fight Valdez. That's a good payday. Probably bigger payday than the Shakur fight. But if you don't get that, then who else are you going to fight? Like, I think you would have to fight Shakur, right? Like, you have to. So, I'm curious that friendship keeps going. Okay. UFC, Dana White on Jake Paul. Why don't you go fight a fucking boxer? I just think he's played this wrong. I think all the UFC guys have just played this wrong, and I think Jake Paul's like really outsmarted all of them. And you gotta give him credit. I'm not gonna be one of those guys that's like not gonna give him credit. I'm gonna give him credit. I don't think he's that good of a boxer. I really don't. I think he's like a mid-level amateur level style, right? That's what I think. I think he would have a hard time winning a local Golden Gloves tournament. I don't think would he contend? Maybe he contend, yeah. But would he win? Or it's not a guarantee. Like a local Golden Gloves tournament, I 100% mean that. Like, and I think that the way the MMA guys have all played this, right? And they made this bigger than it actually was. Like, they really did. They made it bigger than it actually was. First of all, they went in on Askren, right? They committed to Askren being the guy to represent them, and they committed to him winning the fight when they should have just said, well, Askren doesn't have a chance. That's not a guy with good stand up. They're trying to trick you into thinking it's a fight, but they didn't do that. They got arrogant, and their arrogance and ignorance allowed them to sell the fight that Askren could win the fight, right? And that allowed this fight to sell, and allowed Jake Paul to, after he knocked him out, to say he beat a UFC guy. He beat an MMA guy, a legit MMA guy. Didn't matter if he had stand up or not, because the UFC guys and MMA guys are the ones that sold it, that he had a chance. So now they're doing the whole thing like Dana White's like, well, might as well go fight a boxer. And it's like, well, wait, do you have a guy that could beat him? Or do you have doubt that a guy could beat him? And what he should have played the whole way, right, was just ignore it and not even bring it up and be like, I have no idea what's going on with that matter. It's not an issue that concerns me. But that's not the way he did it. And he talked crazy and all this, and Jake Paul did what he had to do. He knocked him out. So now you had Brendan Schaub, Brendan Schaub legitimately said that Jake Paul probably looked better in his first three fights than Floyd and Tyson Fury did. He said that. He went so far, right? He said he went so far. He said since he beat Askren so effectively, he must be one of the best prospects in boxing. That's what he said. He must be one of the best prospects in boxing. And then you have, Dana White saying, well, why does he want to fight my guys? Fight a real boxer. And it's like, okay, wait. So you're admitting that your guys can't beat him, right? And I don't want to get out of hand here. Jake Paul's going to lose one of these fights. I know that because he doesn't have the highest skill level. Okay? But it's not the fact of who beats him, right? It's the fact of how high do you have to go talent level in the UFC to beat him. That's the game now. It's just free money for Jake Paul, really. Because this isn't a permanent thing. Jake Paul's not going to box forever. He isn't. He's not going to box forever. Jake Paul is not going to box forever. He's just got to go on this run, and he's going to get paid fat while he's on this run. And he's trying to see if he can work his way all the way to an Nate Diaz or Conor McGregor. And those fights are becoming way more realistic every time he fights and wins. And the fact that he has this whole knockout thing now, he has a knockout reel, better than, a lot of guys knockout reel. It all helps. I told you that fight, he had to get the knockout. He had to look devastating in that fight. And if he didn't, it would hurt the image. He did everything. And even though And now he has all the weight advantages. So if I'm the UFC, right, and now after this book, because I would never played it this way, but if I'm them now, right, I'm gonna send the right guy, right? I'm gonna set up the fight. I'm gonna get it under my thing though. I'm gonna make sure I'm doing it, not Triller, everything. I'm doing it, and I'm gonna send him the right guy, a big guy like a Costa, 185 pound guy to 205 guy that can cut weight to 190, 195. And I'm gonna send the right guy that I have confident in his hands to do it. Now it's a risk now, but you're already in there because you took that risk by talking big for Askren. So now Dana White's kind of like in a position where he kind of has to shut this guy up. Jake Paul played this perfectly. And not only he's not just playing the game, he's knocking dudes out. So I'm not like deceived. He's not a good boxer. He's not like he's not a high level boxer. He's not a top prospect. He's not any of those things. He's a mid-level amateur guy, like at a Golden Gloves, your local Golden Gloves tournament. That's what he is. And that's where you have to treat it. And that guy is clean, smoked Ben Askren. And I know you say Ben Askren doesn't use hands. He's trained it though, for sure. He's a fighter. He's trained it, right? He's been fighting MMA for over 10 years, right? So Jake Paul's been training for 2 years. So in those 10 years, he's had to done some pad work, right? He has to throw some punch. In those 10 years, if you just take the part where he worked his hands, it has to come close to the 2 years. So basically they're on equal footing, right? Experience-wise, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. So I don't know. It's interesting. They're gonna have to send someone to do it. Someone's gonna have to do the job. And I'm not like I said, I'm not deceived that he's gonna knock out everyone. All these guys, he's gonna lose to one of these guys. But the point is how high up do we have to go in the MMA talent pool to beat him? That's what I'm curious. I think everybody's curious about that now. Jake Paul is the future of boxing. I think this is all just like troll stuff. Like, don't be an idiot. I had this tweet. Let me see. I want to read word for word what I put. Let's see here quick. Okay, word for word. I put so Vince Cummings, he's a boxing writer, I believe. He says, yes, a YouTube guy showing up fighting people and outselling boxing's biggest stars is an indictment on the real sport of boxing and its inability to not do the same. Not very difficult to understand for most. He said, yeah, not very difficult to understand for most. So I think about this, right? I think about what he's saying. Well, first of all, how do we know when he's outselling anyone? We don't know that, right? We have a report, the number that he said, 1.5 million. And everybody's just going off of it like it's the truth, right? So, okay, supposedly 1.5 million. I don't think that's the case. If it is, he's going to get paid 50 million. He should get 50 million guaranteed his next fight. If he got 1.5 million, he should get about 50 million guaranteed his next fight. But let's say that. So I put this, right? If Tom Cruise tomorrow signed with the Jets to play quarterback, it'd be the biggest NFL game of the year. It would have the highest viewership and sponsorship. Does that mean the NFL is struggling? No, it means people like celebrity and sideshows. Pretty simple. And that's exactly what it is. Okay, this isn't that hard. I don't know why people are so shocked this happens. It happens all the time, right? I guarantee a lot of people tuned in to watch CM Punk fight an MMA fight. Okay, I guarantee that happened. Okay, that doesn't mean people like celebrities. They do, and they want to see them do sideshows and all those things. It sells. Okay, this will only go as far as Jake Paul talent allows it. No matter what, the fame isn't going to make this survive, right? Because he has to go fight a higher level guy that makes another interesting matchup. Okay, Jake Paul alone is not going to do it. Jake Paul cannot just fight bums. Okay, I don't even think he can fight Dylan Dennis. I think that fight's out because I don't think Dylan Dennis is to the level that people want to see now. I think it's fight Tyron Woodley. So it's only going to go as far as Jake Paul keeps winning and as the skill level keeps increasing. So it's not going to go for a long time. It has about 2 to 3 more fights left in it. So you think that this guy saw boxing? Boxing's still going to go on skill level. Now, is there a thing to see on like, well, why is Jake Paul famous? Well, yes, there is a new way to market yourself. Now, are you going to be able to market yourself the way Jake Paul does, where he films vlogs 24/7 and has new ideas and great songs and everything like that? No, that takes time. Whether it's high level, whether you think he's funny or not, it still takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time just to do this podcast. It takes a lot of thought just to do this. So I know that if he's filming and doing a bunch of like different, tricks and stunts or whatever the hell he's doing or songs, it takes time. So no, a boxer's not going to be able to do that. But can he film himself talking every day? Can film himself training, which people like to see. Oh, yes, that is the future of boxing and MMA, right? Is the self-marketing and putting yourself out there and people following yourself like a grassroots thing. You have Ryan Garcia, right? That's like that. You also have Brandon Lee, who's like that. Brandon Lee is kind of not recognized enough. Brandon Lee's all over like Instagram. Like people watch it. I see his videos come up on my Explore page all the time. So the guys like that, they are catching the system. There is a system right there where boxing is going to be way more marketable, right? And people are going to be able to learn from this. But right now, to say this guy's the future of boxing, or he's outdoing and he's showing the flaw in boxing, no, it's not. The flaw in boxing is the guys aren't fighting each other. It's as simple as that. The guys are fighting each other. There's a lot of promotions. It's hard to follow. It's kind of like, in the States, like for soccer, I don't know how to follow it. Now, I know people get pissed about the Super League, but it'd be easier to follow for us, selfishly. Now, in other countries or Europe or in the, continents, they're saying that, no, there's no issue. Like, we can follow it. It's very simple. They're in on it. But if you're not in on boxing, it's hard to follow. It really is. There's so many fights and so many cards, and they're on all different parts of the day and different days. It's hard to follow. That's the problem. You need to get under one thing or get it close to one thing or find a way where guys fight each other and there's a ranking system that makes sense that everybody can follow. That helps. But to say like, oh, this is the show. This is just another way boxing is going to go. This is just the first guy to do it. Now, do I think YouTube boxing? No, skill. People want to see skill. The reason why Jake Paul works is because he can actually fight, and he found famous enough opponents that aren't that good that he can beat. But this will get old because people will be like, okay, I've seen this. Now I want to see you go up and higher and higher. And say he beats all the MMA guys that they send at him. Well, then you don't have to fight a legit boxer, right? Or you don't have to go the boxing route of working your way up the rankings and all those things. So then there is an end to it, okay? I promise you. And if he's that good, you know what I mean? Like, say that Jake Paul is somehow a top prospect and everything, and he is going to be that good, well, then his talent will prevail, and he'll keep it going. But it's always going to be the talent. It's not going to be celebrity, right? It's not going to outdo the talent. It just isn't. Okay, it's not going to prolong you just because I'm famous. It just isn't. It's not going to happen. And I think people are overreacting over this thing. It's like if it's some brand new thing, and it isn't. It isn't a brand new thing. So that's what I take from that. This is this week's podcast. This has been The Weigh In. And I thank you for listening or watching, wherever. Listening and watching.